Hi, you're welcome. Okay, it is now broadcasting live. Welcome, everybody. I'm Leslie with the New Mexico Small Business Development Center, and I'm here today with Dr. Marvin Lozano. Buenos dias, Dr. Lozano.
Buenos
He
días.
is an entrepreneurial consultant who has worked as a bilingual commercial lender, business owner, and business college professor. We're excited for his presentation today because he's going to be presenting in English and also in Spanish. If you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A, and Dr. Lozano will pick them up just as quickly as possible. With that being said, I will turn it over to Dr. Marvin Lozano.
Thank you, Leslie. Gracias. Y aquí vamos a empezar. I want to welcome those of you that are present today. And as Leslie was saying, I will be doing this in both languages, in English and in Spanish. So I will want to make sure that we're doing this in an inclusive way. And I'm sure that, well, I hope you have questions. If you do, feel free to send them in. So can we begin with the next slide, please? So Marvin Lozano is my name, Dr. Marvin Lozano, as you know, and Doctor Marvin Lozano en español para ustedes. Bienvenidos y vamos a seguir con la presentación. Next. El título de la presentación, so I'll do this in Spanish and then I will go to English, again, to be inclusive with everybody. El título de la presentación, en esta presentación, es Acceso a dinero de los bancos, préstamos y SBA para mi pequeña empresa mientras sobrevivo COVID-19. Es un título que se aplica el día de hoy por todo lo que está pasando, ¿no? Con el pandemic y los problemas que están encontrando negocios pequeños. So in English, the title, as you can see, it's in Spanish, but it's also in English, Accessing Money from Banks, Alternative Lenders, and SBA for My Small Business While Surviving COVID-19. And I place the emphasis on the word access because there is a process that is followed by banks, alternative lenders, and SBA that is followed when they assess your business, whether it's a startup or an existing business, for good times as well as in times like we're experiencing today with COVID. And I want to go over some of that information with you so you're prepared whomever you go to. Next, please. Bueno, siguiendo en español, hay muchas clases, vamos a decir, que capacitaciones que se van a ofrecer y este clase en particular se va a ofrecer hasta el 30 de septiembre y es algo que queremos nosotros que participen y también en los otros clases que se ofrecen. So there are many trainings that are offered by the SBDC, and you are welcome to all of them. I think there are many that many small business can use to help them get through this COVID pandemic, but beyond that, also to start and grow your business as we go forward. Next. Entonces hay objetivos de entrenamiento. Los objetivos son para asistir a ustedes. Es para, darles información que pueden utilizar acerca de cómo conseguir los préstamos que están ahorita disponibles para ustedes. Y por eso vamos a seguir con esta presentación. So the objectives of this particular presentation are to be able to allow startups or existing small businesses in the state of New Mexico to understand how they can access the programs, the lending programs that are out there through banks, that are out there through alternative lenders, that are out there through SBA. And I want to definitely emphasize that you can get a lot of help if you make an appointment and go to an SBDC, which is a Small Business Development Center. They're located throughout the state of New Mexico. And those advisors are very well trained, and they're there to help you facilitate your application and get what you need. Next. En español, entonces, para seguir con esto, es para darle una idea, un resumen, vamos a decir, de la presentación. Son tres cosas que vamos a hablar. Número uno, acceso al capital. Número dos, la sostenibilidad. Número dos, del negocio, el crecimiento y resiliencia. Y número tres, solicitar recursos financieros. And so, three areas that I want to definitely share with you this morning and to emphasize. One of the main themes is how do you access capital? Okay, so there's a whole process beyond just filling out an application that one needs to be prepared and understand so that you can get what you need. Number two, second theme is business sustainability, growth, and resilience. So once you have this money, you need to sustain, right? Your business, you went to all this work, you want to grow it. Certainly, you want to grow it in different ways. One of the missions that we have here in New Mexico is creating jobs. So unless you grow, you know, and get into those markets, you know, you have these barriers of being able to do that, and then being resilient. Resilience is very important. And it's something that all of us need to understand. And so I'll share from my experiences and also from what I see on a daily basis when I counsel with small businesses here in New Mexico. And I'll share those with you. Number three is solicitar recursos financieros. Los que hablan español, entonces la idea aquí es cómo van a solicitar y dónde van a solicitar recursos financieros para ayudarles, porque hay también, aparte de los bancos alternativos y también del SBA ahorita en los tiempos de COVID. So the last thing, number three, that I'll share with you is the primary locations or institutions, rather, that you can go to apply for financial resources. Of course, we all know about traditional banks. They are located throughout the state and other states. And in these difficult times, the PPP program, which I'll talk more as we get into this conversation, into this workshop, the banks are the ones that are the organizations, the institutions you want to go to for those particular programs. But we've also got alternative lenders that are out there trying to help organizations, small businesses, startups, existing businesses that maybe don't have the traditional good credit, the traditional strong cash flow, the traditional collateral, and their conditions are not as best historically as they could have been for them to succeed. And now they're encountering more problems. And then we'll talk about SBA, how SBA fits in. Okay, so next. Bueno, empezaron con la primer tema, conceptos básicos de acceso a capital. In English, basics of accessing capital. Next. Bueno, cuando hablo de estos temas, son cuatro cosas pues, que queremos hablar de esto. ¿Qué son estas cosas? So there's four particular items that every small business needs to look at. One is credit. The second one is cash flow. The third one is collateral. And the fourth one is conditions. This is a model that all lenders, whether it's a bank, an alternative lender, or even SBA, this is what they focus on when you submit an application. So what I want to talk a little bit about is how you can prepare yourself before you do the filling out of the application and handing it over to any of these organizations, how you can get yourself in the best position to get what you want. And so I'll begin the conversation on these four items in Spanish first, and then I will transition to English. Número uno, crédito. Hay que buscar a ver cómo está su crédito. Y aquí el crédito quiere que ver cómo han pagado sus cuentas. ¿Ok? ¿Cómo está? Ustedes pueden averiguar ese asunto antes de ir a buscar o solicitar un crédito. ¿Ok? ¿Es bueno su crédito? Si no, ¿por qué no? Y luego cuando se prepara a ir a hablar con alguien, diles, mira, tengo problemas con mi crédito por este caso. Yo hablo con muchos, ya trabajo con muchos negocios y dicen ellos, mira, ¿saben qué? Tuve problemas porque se enfermó un niño, se enfermó un padre. Entonces, por eso tuve problemas. ¿Okay? Es mejor explicar claramente por qué tuvo los problemas que no decir. Número dos, ¿cómo está su flujo de efectivo? Y aquí es ¿qué tipo de efectivo tiene usted en el presente y qué espera tener en el futuro? Porque si va a sacar dinero, una solicitud de fondos, la gente que está encargada de aprobar su crédito quiere saber si lo puede pagar. ¿Ah? ¿No? Y si va a cubrir los gastos que ya tiene. Número tres, ¿qué es la garantía que pone usted? Si una persona, una organización que va a provenir les va a dar unos fondos, quieren saber ellos si ustedes en seriamente van a poner algo de garantía, ¿ok? Para que pongan ustedes también algo, están ofreciendo algo aparte de nomás decir, préstenme o deme dinero. Número cuatro, ahorita esto es muy importante, las condiciones, porque con COVID, las condiciones son que, bueno, pues no hay mucho negocio. Entonces aquí hay que explicar, mira, este es el tipo de negocio y estas son las condiciones que tengo, pero van a cambiar. So what I've been explaining or sharing with the audience in Spanish, I'll do in English now. And what I'm sharing is that these four are very important items. And so I think one of the strengths that I bring when I talk about things is I was trained as a commercial lender with Chase Manhattan. And I was formally trained and I managed a portfolio of businesses. And this was the four basic items that are looked at in any loan, whether it's a small loan, a medium-sized loan, or a large loan. With alternative lenders who I currently consult with, they also this criteria. So currently I'm involved helping during the COVID pandemic that we're experiencing, helping fund those loans that are coming, or the funds that are coming into the alternative lenders. And also I've done some work with Chambers of Commerce and SBA. So the four things: credit, cash flow, collateral, and conditions. Very, very straightforward and very simple. We can all prepare ourselves prior to going to any lender and asking for a loan. The simplest thing to do, of course, is to go under the lender and they'll talk with us because it's in their interest to do that. And they're there to make a loan. Okay. But in essence, when you walk away after you fill out the paperwork, this is what they're looking at. So they look at credit. So here the idea is that I recommend to you is before you go to any lender, assess your own credit. You know, what's my credit score? You know, have I paid my debts in the past? If I've had problems, be upfront with the lender and say, you know what, maybe as an example, you might have had a family member that got ill and you got behind on certain payments. Be upfront. It's in your favor because the underlying factor besides the word credit is character. And so that's something that the lender is looking at too. They're looking to see what kind of character you display when you're there in front of them. And so I recommend that. I've dealt with folks that have had bad credit, and it's always impressive when they say to you immediately, in a humble way, I've had difficulties because there were some medical issues in my family, and I want to share that with you up front. And although I have been behind, I'm making an effort. Character, remember, to pay that credit. Very important. The second thing is cash flow, and I'm not trying to make anyone an accountant, and nor are we here to do that, right? But cash flow is very basic. One of the things I did after being actively involved in lending, in commercial lending, is I worked for many years with CNM Community College as their lead instructor in entrepreneurship. And so I would explain cash flow this way. Think of it as cash flow being to a business, okay, the way blood is to the human body. That is to say, and to emphasize, that without cash flow, a business doesn't survive, okay? And so it's cash flowing through the business to pay your expenses, right? If we can't pay our expenses, how are we going to survive? And so here again, as you are preparing yourself to access capital, you know, what kind of cash flow do you have coming in? And the next slide, I'll be showing a real basic template you can use on your own. You know, you can do it on a desk, at a kitchen table, and ask yourself, you know, what does my cash flow look like? All right. Number 3 is collateral. And this is real important because without collateral, a lot of lenders are thinking, what is your skin in the game? So we're here to help you. Obviously, there are a lot of different programs. We want to help you, but we need to know that you're serious about this loan. And given that in today's economy, given the different programs that are out there, we have, for example, the PPP program that may be forgiven or it may not. And so are you prepared in the event that it converts to a loan? Also, there are economic injury disaster loans under SBA. Those are, frankly, they're loans under very low interest rates. And so you want to be sure that you don't have a problem saying, listen, this is what I have, whether it's something very, very basic. If you're asking for a loan and you have a vehicle, you know, maybe you've got equity in a house. All this is something that be prepared to be asked about. And so take the initiative, you know, and think about it and be prepared before you go to that lender. Of course, conditions, we all think of COVID right now, and gosh, you know, it depends what kind of conditions you're in. We know there are folks out there that their markets have been destroyed. Look at the conditions that restaurants are operating under, because the criteria for them is they're limited in terms of how many folks can access their restaurant. For a period of time, on a sequential period of time, the restaurants were closed and they couldn't even have people come in. So they had to pivot and look for alternatives to be able to survive. So maybe that's you. Think about the industry you're in. You know, maybe you are someone who drives trucks for a living. You're in what industry? You're in the transportation industry. Okay, so what's happened there? Okay, so we know that those kinds of businesses, they're considered an essential business because without those goods getting to the retailer and sold to us, you know, we got real problems, right? So again, what's your niche in your industry, and how does it fit into what you're trying to do here? Okay, next. Bueno, en español, ok. So ahora en español vamos a hablar. Aquí es una estimación antes de iniciar. So iniciar means to start. And as you can see in English, it's pre-startup estimate. And I'll address that after I do it in Spanish, okay? Pero estimar antes de iniciar son puntos diferentes que quieren ver ustedes. Número 1 es dinero disponible a la mano. Hay que decidir y pensar y apuntar si tienes dinero disponible a la mano. ¿Hay dinero en la cuenta? Si tienes de cuenta de cheques, ¿qué es la cantidad? Ok, esto es antes de empezar tu negocio. O si ya tienes negocio, antes de empezar a vender otro producto, otro servicio, Porque ahorita en estos tiempos, negocios dicen, pero mira, tengo que vender otros productos para sobrevivir, ¿no? No puedo seguir como ando. Entonces, pues, ¿qué tengo disponible? Y si no, pues, pon que no tienes, ¿no? Número dos, o segundo, punto dos es presta. Si ya tienes un préstamo, ¿okay? Hay que poner la cantidad. ¿Por qué? Porque para entender qué tienes disponible y si tienes que pagar intereses, a a largo plazo, a corto plazo, ¿okay? ¿Cómo está el préstamo? ¿Okay? ¿De qué tipo de interés y cuánto tiempo tienes para pagarlo? Aquí lo pones antes de empezar, ¿ok? Si es línea de crédito, pon línea de crédito. El línea de crédito trabaja como una tarjeta de crédito. ¿Okay? Una tarjeta de crédito, ya sabemos, mucha gente tiene tarjeta de crédito. Cuando van a una compra, sacan la tarjeta de crédito, ¿no? Y la utilizan. Pero trabaja diferente. En la línea de crédito es para pagar los intereses ya cuando sacaste poco dinero. ¿Okay? Es poco diferente de un préstamo, pero otra vez hay que poner la cantidad que tienes disponible. Y otro dinero, es posible que estás pensando, bueno, no quiero préstamos, no tengo dinero, pero tienes alguien en la familia que te puede ayudar, ¿no? Entonces hay que pensarlo, ¿con qué me pueden ayudar y qué es el total? So what I was sharing in Spanish is here it's important to do a pre-startup estimate. Lots of folks um, don't make time to do this, and it would be a good way to give you an advantage as you go into whomever you go into. Again, when I say whomever, is do you go to a traditional bank in your community? Do you go to an alternative lender in your community? There are many. There's the loan fund, okay? There's Dream Spring. There are others. They're sanctioned by the state and provided funding by the state. They're provided funding by investors that want to help New Mexico businesses grow and develop. And so, and of course, there's the SBA. Okay, and so this helps you prepare so that when you go in and sit down with a lender, or maybe if you do it online because you're not sitting down with somebody, you prepare on a Word document a simple pre-startup estimate to say, listen, I've got some money on hand in my account. I do have some money. Maybe I've taken out a loan already, and this is the amount of money that I have in that loan. This is the interest rate. Okay, these are the terms. It's short-term or long-term loan, but I've got some funds from it. I have a line of credit, which sometimes folks confuse with a loan. A loan, think of it as I get the money immediately. Okay, I get it immediately. An interest starts immediately. I start making monthly payments. Okay, the line of credit is different. The line of credit operates somewhat like a credit card. Okay, you are approved for some amount and at some interest rate, and then when you decide to access it, you access it. I share with folks that I work with small businesses that sometimes come to me and say, I'm looking to buy some equipment. Or I'm looking to buy some machinery, but I don't have it yet. But I would like to get a line of credit so I know I have those funds available to me. So when I do find that particular machinery or equipment, then immediately I can draw on it. I said, that's a great idea because you're not paying interest until you find it. Take your time, look for it. Once you find it, you can access it, draw from the line of credit, and then interest begins on whatever you draw. Okay. And other cash would be other forms of access to maybe family funds. There may be, maybe you've got that rich uncle, right? That uncle that's out there that has money and, he's willing to invest some in your business. Or she's that aunt that's out there, and it says, I'm willing to invest some money in your business. And so that's other cash. You negotiate with them what the terms are, and I recommend you do. Get it in writing so that everyone respects each other, right? But you have that. So again, pre-startup estimate. Okay, this isn't a tool that will help you get what you need. Next. Ok, entonces también, si van a hacer el estimado antes de empezar el negocio o el mercado nuevo, si ya tienen su negocio, el efectivo pagar aquí es importante también. Entonces, la pregunta aquí es, ¿qué son las compras que tienes? ¿Qué es la mercancía que ya compraste? ¿Ok? Segundo es el segundo punto, compra de capital. Aquí hay que especificar si ya compraste un equipo, si ya compraste, vamos a decir, una maquinaria, ¿ok? Todo eso es para enseñar que ya has pagado por eso. Tienes una inversión en tu negocio, ¿ok? El suministro de limpieza. Ahorita en el tiempo de COVID es muy importante decir, ¿sabes qué? Yo también estoy preparado aquí. Traigo suministros de limpieza para protegerme yo por mi propia cuenta. O si también quieren comprar, aquí traigo yo y puedo venderles. Depende del tipo de negocio, ¿no? El punto 4 es renta. Si tienen, van a tener un tipo de negocio, vamos a hacer que está empezando usted, y tienen un tipo de negocio que necesitan un edificio. Entonces, ¿qué es la renta que van a pagar? Y ya apartaron dinero para la renta, pusieron depósitos, porque muchas veces lo que pasa es que la gente se piensa que tiene que comprar un edificio. Y yo lo que les quiero decir es que no necesito comprar hasta que ya están establecidos, ¿no? Y teléfono, ¿qué es el teléfono? Los gastos para teléfono y luego en total, entonces tenemos lo que vamos a necesitar y lo que tenemos que pagar o ya pagamos antes de empezar. So what I've been sharing here in Spanish is that this flows with the previous slide. So just like we want to know what are the sources of cash flow or cash that we have on hand, better said, what are the forms of cash that we currently have on hand? Okay, here we have cash we've paid out. What it shows is that we've been doing our homework. Okay, we've been out looking at what kind of merchandise we need to start with. We're not waiting until the day we open our doors if it's a storefront type business, right? We've already gone out, talked to vendors, okay, looked at the types of terms that are there, and maybe we've already bought some merchandise to begin to prepare ourselves to sell it on month one, right? Or day one, as they say. Capital purchases are simply if you've already bought equipment. You know, maybe you are in a printing type business. I work with a business that does a lot of note cards. They do Christmas cards, invitations. They do a lot of political flyers on contracts. They have contracts with the state. And basically, the idea here is, right, that you want to show what you've already invested in, you know, that you do have well, another way of looking at it, it's called owner injection, that you've injected some funds of your own into the business, okay? And so it's in there already to get you started. Cleaning supplies, that's specific to the time we're in. If you think about it, it's a good idea whether you are selling products in your own business or not to address this particular bullet. So let's say you do have a business that sells products and supplies. I've noticed as I go around Albuquerque and not really New Mexico because of COVID, right? But around Albuquerque, some businesses have added cleaning supplies as an item that they sell. And so it's a really good idea because it allows business clients that come in to pick up something that they need while they're buying your other products. On the other hand, if you're in the type of business that you know, maybe you don't have a storefront, but folks come to see you because you provide a service. Maybe you're a professional. Then you want to have cleaning supplies already. So you would have invested and bought some, right, to be able to have them available. You know, somebody needs to sanitize their hands. Recently, I was at a bookstore, and I thought it was very creative because they don't sell cleaning supplies. But as you walk through the door, they said, or there was a table as you walked through the door with a sign that said, please sanitize your hands, okay? And please sanitize your hands coming in and going out, okay? And they weren't selling supplies, but my point here is you may want to have some supplies you've invested in available. Depends on your business, okay? Have you put deposits down for rent prior to starting your business if it's a startup, okay? If so, how much? How much have you spent towards cell phones or phones that maybe your employees can use? You know, all these are funds that you can list that you've paid out. So what are you doing? What you're doing again is informing that lender, whether that lender is in a bank, is an alternative lender at SBA, that you have an investment in your business. You're serious about what you're doing. You've already paid out funds. Okay, next. Okay, so again, right, in Spanish, then in English. Flujo de efectivo, 6 meses. Entonces, aquí lo tengo para 6 meses, ¿ok? Es natural que lo hacemos por 12 meses, pero lo voy a hacer por 6 meses para que vean la idea de cómo trabaja esto. Todos pueden preparar esto, ¿ok? Antes de ir con alguien que está encargado de préstamos, ¿no? Entonces, ponga sus 6 meses y en el lado de la izquierda, ¿qué es lo que tiene disponible? Caja, efectivo en caja. ¿Qué es lo que tiene disponible? ¿Ok? Y luego los 4 puntos que tengo a la mano izquierda es ventas en efectivo. ¿Ya tuvo ventas? O si no las ha tenido, entonces en estos meses que siguen, empezando en enero, febrero, marzo, abril, mayo, junio, o cambien los meses. Ahorita andamos en abril. En vez de enero, ponga mayo, ponga junio, ponga julio, ponga agosto. Sigue así, poniendo que las ventas que esperan tener en el futuro. ¿Okay? ¿Por qué? Porque queremos enseñarle a la gente encargada del préstamo que podemos hacer el pago. ¿Ok? Colecciones de cuentas. Si ustedes tienen, ofrecen crédito a los clientes, aquí ponen cuándo van a recibir los fondos. ¿Lo van a recibir en 2 meses? Aunque vende el producto este mes, ¿cuándo lo va a recibir? El préstamo, línea de crédito, es importante aquí poner si ya tiene su préstamo, ¿ok? ¿Qué van a hacer los pagos en los 6 meses siguientes? ¿Okay? Otro efectivo, va a entrar otro dinero, como les estábamos hablando, si tienen ese tío o la tía que les va a ofrecer fondos, entonces se los tiene que pagar. ¿Cómo se los va a pagar? Es dinero que va a salir. Porque acuérdense, en total queremos saber con el efectivo qué son los gastos que vamos a tener para sobrevivir este COVID-19 y enseñarle a la gente que está encargada de los préstamos que sí podemos pagar y podemos sobrevivir. Next. Oh, I'm sorry, go back. I didn't, apologize, go back. I didn't cover this in English, so I appreciate you hanging in there with me. In English, it's cash flow for 6 months. And I was sharing in Spanish that typically one does this for 12 months. But once you get started with 6 months, it pretty much flows easily. And the prior 2 slides were to help you prepare prior to starting the business or prior to starting that new program. Here is going forward. So it's cash flow going forward. So I put that up on this slide, January, February, March, April, May, June. You, given the time we're in, may want to put May, right? You want to put May, June, July, August, September, October, or whatever months you are projecting out. So when you go see that lender, whomever it be, and I would encourage you, even if you don't plan to go see a lender, develop a relationship with a lender, because it's always easier when they know who you are. I think when I was in lending, it was something that the lenders always appreciated when someone would come in and say, hi Marvin, I'm here because I need your help with something. and I'm ready to talk with you. And I could say, well, hi, John, I know who you are. You know, we've already talked, we've known each other for a while, although you haven't borrowed. So it's easier for me to engage that person and to help them. And then I would say something like, tell me about your cash flow. What's it looking like for the next 6 months? You want to borrow some money. As a representative of the lender, I need to know how you're going to pay that back. And so help me out here. You come in with something like this already, you're a step ahead of the lender and you impress them, okay? So cash on hand, and then on the left-hand side, you see those 4 bullets? That's what kind of cash or what kind of cash receipts do you expect to come in during the next 6 months? Remembering again, you know, don't hold me to January, February, March. I mean, maybe that you're looking at May, right? May, June, July, August, September, because we're going forward. All right. So if you sell on credit, that second bullet is collection of accounts receivable. So you sell somebody to credit, you want your money, but when are you going to get it? In month 2, 3, or 4? Because you need that money to come in to pay your expenses. If you take out a loan or a line of credit, you know, you got to pay it back. When do you start to pay it back? The beauty of the programs that are out there right now is there are even programs where the loans are forgiven for 3 months, or the loan payments, not the loan, but the loan payments are forgiven for 3 months by SBA. And so beautiful program, right? Somebody's making our payments for us. Won't always be out there, but right now it's something you may want to look into. Okay, and then the bottom part is total cash receipts. What's the total cash that's coming in? Next slide. Okay, in Spanish, the heading here is no ames lo que eres, sino lo que puedes llegar a ser. And in English, it's do not love what you are, but what you can become. Okay, so this is the part where it's important to present yourself to that lender in a way that you've thought through what kind of business you are truly in and where you want to go. Okay, so I'll come back to that thought in a minute, okay, and I'll address it in Spanish and then come back. No ames lo que eres, sino lo que puedes llegar a ser. Aquí la idea es que aunque ahorita estás empezando o estás creciendo o hay problemas con el negocio, ¿dónde quieres ir? ¿Quieres crecer? ¿Qué quieres hacer? ¿Quieres hacer alguien que eres persona de negocio, que ya tienes tu negocio que ha crecido, tienes empleados, puedes mandar tus hijos y hijas a las escuelas que quieres? Okay, ¿dónde vas a ir? ¿Qué es tu sueño? So what I was saying in Spanish is here, the idea is look at where you want to go. What is your dream? You know, what you want to become. Why is this important to approaching a lender and to getting financing? Well, it's because it provides the big picture. Okay, it's a way of saying, look, this is what I need right now, but by getting what help I can get from you, this is what I can become. I work with a number of businesses, and I'll share this short story with you. There is one that I've currently been working on that started out with a $15,000 loan in New Mexico. It's 2 brothers, and basically they repair cars that have been in collisions, and they just started repairing them, and they started painting them, you know, body work, that kind of thing. And recently, I was involved with an alternative lender where they are opening, I was helping them, right, with that lender access funds to open a second location in Albuquerque that is in the obtaining a loan that's in the 6 digits. Okay, so a large, much larger loan, and their cash flow has been very, very strong. They've been in business now for 12 years. And so their dream, okay, was to go beyond operating that small 2-man store and now, or 2-man operation. And now they've got 18 employees. They have a contract with one of the largest rental companies in the country that has rentals at the airport here in Albuquerque, and they do all their work for them. and they just keep growing. And so think big, think what you can become. Next. Ok, aquí vamos a hablar sostenibilidad del negocio, business sustainability. Okay, so how do I sustain my business? Your lender wants to know beyond you getting the money, what are these 5 things? Okay, and how do you think, how do you feel about these things? And so I'll do this in Spanish, then in English. Número 1, no necesita una idea completa nueva para empezar un negocio. Esta idea número 1 va para el negocio que va a empezar de nuevo, ¿no? Okay, entonces, si su idea no es nueva, no hay problema. Hay muchos negocios que tienen buen éxito porque con la idea. La importancia aquí es entender qué vas a hacer y cómo lo vas a hacer. Okay, so what I'm saying, number 1 is you don't need a whole new idea to start a business. So this is directed at startups. Okay, so if you folks are looking to start a business, and again, I circle back to the idea that the SBDCs in New Mexico, located throughout New Mexico, okay, there are offices typically located at the community college or located at the universities. What I encourage you is to look into them, talk to those advisors, to the directors, and ask them how they can help you because you're looking to start a business. And this won't cost you anything, okay? All you need to do is fill out paperwork, okay? This is counseling that's paid by the state and the federal government. It's available to you, so utilize it. But the point here being is you don't need a whole new idea to start a business. There are a lot of folks that start businesses, but they're very good at what they do. They have good experience doing it, and they use that experience because they want to do it for themselves, okay? Number 2 in Spanish. No necesito mucho dinero para empezar un negocio. Aquí la idea es entender que sí se puede empezar un negocio. Algunas veces hablo con gente que quieren empezar negocios y ellos mismos dicen, no tengo dinero, no puedo. La idea aquí es pensar cómo puedes hacer, trabajar tu idea para tener tu negocio, para ayudarte a ti mismo y a tu familia. So here the point is, in English, you don't need a lot of money to start a business. And the reason I have that there is because it's important to understand that you first of all be clear about what you want to do, okay? And then there are different ways one can approach this. Sometimes businesses start with a small amount of money that they've saved, okay? And then once they grow and they've proven that their idea is good because people buy their product, or they buy their services, okay, then they say, now I want to grow my business, but I'm going to need that new machinery and equipment, or I need to hire those employees. So then you can start looking at lending. But to think that you need money immediately to start is not necessary, okay? And that's something that the lender is trying to look at too as you go and you talk with them, okay? Have you thought this through, okay? So you need to be able to convince them why you need money as you go and approach them, okay? So number 3 in English, use lo que ya sabe de su experiencia y entrenamiento, okay? Aquí la idea es, ¿qué sabes hacer? Yo trabajo con gente que me dicen, mira, ¿sabes qué? Yo tengo todos estos años trabajando en este tipo de trabajo, o yo tengo este entrenamiento, yo estudié esto. Entonces, es algo que puedes utilizar en tu negocio. Díganle a la gente encargada de los préstamos, ¿okay? Para que te ayuden. Si no saben, si no les dices, no saben ellos. Entonces, es lo que deben hacer. Number 3 here is use what you already know from your experience or training. So if you have, 10, 12 years of experience, use it because you already know how to do something others don't, and maybe you can use it to start your own business. I would encourage you to do that. That matters to lenders. What kind of training do you have? It may be the kind of work you do requires certifications. It requires a license. Well then, let those lenders know you've got that. Be prepared and to have those documents or those certificates available. Ok. Número 4 en español, no necesito un plan de negocio de 20 páginas. Simple algo, una página es suficiente. Si tienen una página, pongan sus ideas. Okay. ¿Qué es tu plan? ¿Qué es tu plan? Es un micro plan, no tiene que ser algo largo. What I'm saying there in Spanish is you don't need a 20-page business plan. You know, that's a fallacy. I think many college classes tell someone who takes a class and they really want to start a business is write a 20-page plan. Well, that's a wonderful assignment for a term paper. But if you're truly looking to start a business, or whether you're already in business, because sometimes you are in business, but the lender wants to see your business plan, right? Let me see a copy of your plan. You don't need 20 pages. You don't need 10 pages. What you need is something that's concrete and clearly explains what you do. You know, what's my mission? You know, maybe vision in one sentence. What's my vision in 2 sentences? You know, what's my market in a paragraph? Okay, do a cash flow like I showed in an earlier template for 6 months. Okay, and explain how you're going to use the money and pay it back. Okay, those are the main ideas here. These are the main ideas to a lender. Okay. Okay, now I'll go to 5 in Spanish. No necesita comprar o rentar un edificio para empezar un negocio. Si está empezando un negocio, busque usted algo para rentar. Algo que es algo que no es algo que le va a costar mucho dinero, pero está localizado bien, ¿okay? Y usted puede pagar con los ingresos. So in Spanish, what I was saying here is number 5 is you don't need to buy a building. You don't need to rent a building to start a business, okay? You need to be clear on what you're doing, where you're starting. You need to be clear on the permits and the zoning in your city, okay? And maybe you can begin without those large investments and look at it as something that you do in the future, rather than commit yourself to that. And again, the counselors at the SBDCs, the advisors can help you with that. Next. El crecimiento, in English, it's growth. Okay, so we'll be talking about growth here. La idea es aquí evaluar si está preparando para ser un emprendedor. In English, access whether you are well prepared to be an entrepreneur. Have you owned a business before? You know, what makes you feel that you can own one? This is very hard. This is not the sort of thing that's an 8 to 5, right? And you may already know this, because you've already started your business and you're operating. It's something that we need to be clear. Sometimes as a lender, what I would tell potential business owners is go work in the kind of business you want to start from 3 to 6 months as an employee and see if you like it. You know, and sometimes they come back and say, geez, I don't want to do this. I really didn't like it at all. So be prepared, you know, understand whether you want to be and whether you're willing to put in the hours to be an entrepreneur. Número 2, reflexionar sobre sus actitudes y dinero de prosperidad. Here I'm talking about, think about your attitudes to money and prosperity. Okay, first in Spanish. ¿Cómo gasta su dinero? Okay, es importante si va a ser a persona de negocio, de no gastar todo, cuidar su dinero bien y pensar cómo lo va a gastar. Here the idea is reflect on your attitudes to money and prosperity. What you want to do is be clear that you spend money not because you want to buy something, but because you need it. 2 major different attitudes, okay? Effective small businesses that I've asked over the many years that I've been doing this, and I've been teaching and consulting for close to 30 years now. Those that are effective for the most part that have been successful, their attitudes about money is it's a tool. It's a tool, and I spend it when I need something, not because I want something. I don't buy something just to spend money, okay? And that leads to their growth, okay, and to prosperity. Número 3, familiarse con la mentalidad empresarial. Get familiar with the entrepreneurial mindset, and it is a mindset. Okay, are you really wanting to do this, and are you willing to do what it takes to succeed? Okay, and are you willing to pick yourself up during the bad times and just continue to go? Next. Just quickly, this is just a slide on resilience. En español no se vencen, en una palabra, no se vencen, siguen a su sueño. So here is don't give up in English, okay? As Thomas Edison said, you know, the surest way to succeed is always try one more time, unquote. All right, so many times people quit too easily. Hang in there. You know, if it's truly your dream, keep working at it. Next. Ok, aquí número 3 es los bancos, cooperativas de crédito, prestamistas alternativos. De eso vamos a hablar. Next. So we're talking about banks, credit unions, and SBAs a little bit. So these are your areas of access to capital, okay? So banks and some credit unions in New Mexico. Bancos y algunas uniones de crédito en Nuevo México. En español, in Spanish, ofrecen el programa Paycheck Protection Program. Este es el programa que les asiste, y me imagino que ya saben esto, no es, si tienen empleados y los quieren tener trabajando, entonces es un programa. La más importante idea aquí es que vayan con su banco, porque el banco va a decidir si pueden calificar para esto. Here what I was saying in Spanish is that banks, traditional banks throughout New Mexico, and some credit unions participate in the PPP, or also known as the Paycheck Protection Program. And here, the important idea to access, okay, is that know that you should go to the bank that knows you. You know, they will advocate for you better than anybody else. The bank is where you want to go. I also encourage you to go to the SBC. They know these banks in the communities they operate, and they can facilitate the paperwork to get you access to the Paycheck Protection Program, which is to keep your workforce employed. And we do know about this program that if you haven't had access to it, there is also access to it for small businesses, and it may be that your loan's forgiven, and it isn't a loan at all if you meet certain criteria. So these folks can help you understand that criteria. Next. Prestamistas alternativos, or in English, alternative community lenders. These are folks that are active in different kinds of loans. There's COVID lines of credit, SBA microloans, SBA 504 program, and these folks can help you with that. The folks out there, the Loan Front and DreamSpring are very active in these areas. Okay, so contact them and learn more about what they can do for you. En español, son prestamistas alternativos. Es posible que te puedan ayudar con un préstamo de un tipo, y ellos están claros en cómo puedes calificar y te pueden asistir. Next. Ok, aquí les voy a enseñar en español, es el SBA, es el gobierno, y ellos le explican y le pueden ayudar en español cómo trabajan estos programas del Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, o Economic Injury Disaster Loan, que ese sí es préstamo. Ustedes simple, está en español. What I was saying in Spanish is that there are definitely good, clear explanations of these programs at the SBA. So you can access the SBA through this website. It's www.sba.gov. It's in English and Spanish. And what we're going to do is bring it up in Spanish for you so you can see the explanation of these programs for you. Okay. So next. So while we're trying to bring this up, again, I would encourage you all to write it down. If it's in English, those English speakers, www.sba.gov. And you can find a clear explanation of the Paycheck Protection Program, and they will explain within that website and say, please go see your local lender. That's the best place to access the program and be able to get some help.
Dr. Lozano, are
yes.
you seeing the website, sba.gov?
No, I'm not. I just
You
see
are not.
slide.
Okay, let me,
Yeah, so
what
I was
about-
just, oh.
no? Okay, that
No,
I am sorry about that. I will
oh,
work
that's
on
okay.
that for next time.
That's right. And so those are the programs that are there. Again, SBA.gov, www.sba.gov in English, and in Spanish and Espanol, www.sba.gov/en español o español, ¿ok? Y van a aprender de esos programas para asistirle en cover. Ahorita los intereses están muy bajos. Today, in this era, interest rates are very low. Look into these programs and definitely get the SBDCs to help you apply for them. Preguntas y respuestas, questions, please.
At this time, we don't have any questions. So, and we're doing great on time. We do have a couple minutes if any questions come in, but we do not have any questions right now.
Okay. Bueno, entonces los comentarios finales, próximos pasos, final comments and next steps. So I'm speaking with you. I'll do this in English and transition to Spanish. I'm doing this as an effort from the America's SBDC program, the state SBDC office, because we want to provide a service to folks that that definitely want to put their best foot forward when they go to a lender. And to do that, I wanted to provide you all a survey of the criteria. It's more than filling out an application. And that I speak to from my experience as a lender, experience with alternative lenders, experience with SBA. So prepare yourselves and put your best foot forward when you go and try to access some of the funds, which, by the way, very low these days. I was looking at the Wall Street Journal yesterday, and the prime rate for lenders across the country, even for large businesses, prime rate is 3.75, I believe. And a lot of these programs are out there for small businesses are 3.25. So look at that. You're really looking at good interest rates. Some of the programs are 3.75. So they range, right? And so what you want to do is ask about the interest rates. You want to ask about the terms. Is it a forgivable loan, or is it something I'm going to pay? If you have to pay it, the template that we showed you here for cash flow is very important to a lender, and it should be helpful for you. Next steps is go see your local SBDC. Let them help you do what you need to do for yourself. Thank you.
That was such a great presentation, Dr. Lozano.
Thank you.
I had got a lot of information out of it, and I'm excited to learn more about it. I really feel that everyone can take advantage of New Mexico Small Business Development Center in our webinar series. And we are right out of time. If anyone needs more information, please don't hesitate to email me or call us, and we'll be glad to help you. Thanks, everybody.